Hello everybody and welcome back to another video on the MediaBite channel. Today we are going to be discussing a movie that I had no clue what it was about. I had almost no understanding of what this movie was. I wasn't ready for it, I wasn't prepared for it, and it was one of my favorite movies I've seen in a very long time because it was absolutely hilarious, and you'll see what we're talking about in a second. But before we get into that, really quick, all the podcasts, MediaBite Podcast Network, you can just search that up, MediaBite Podcast Network, or just MediaBite Podcast, MediaBite Podcast Network, and you can find all of my podcasts there. It should be on all of your favorite podcast apps. If it's not, please tell me. That's probably my issue, or I will, literally link it for you. Yeah, so with that, let's just get into the video. So, the video we're talking about is My Cousin Vinny, which is a 1992 movie starring Joe Pesci and Marisa Tomei. My apologies if I'm mispronouncing her last name. And playing a man wrongfully accused of murder is Ralph Macchio, the original Karate Kid. This film was shot with a budget of $11 million and came out with a box office of $64.1 million, which is a total profit of $53 million, so by no means a complete flop or anything like that. Excluding market costs and other things, hidden costs for producing the film, $53 million is the profit for the film. So the film My Cousin Vinny is a film I haven't genuinely heard much about in a very long time, since I was like a child, which is a big shame because I had a blast with this movie more than I would have thought. I think this might be because I am a sucker for out of water films, situations like that. Like what happens in this movie. So Joe Pesci plays a lawyer who has never really been a lawyer for a murder case other than like a few like personal injury cases. That's it. Never done anything else. He failed the bar 13 times. His character did in the film. But his nephew, so his cousin Vinny, or Joe Pesci, is in charge of the murder case that it comes from. And because he's related, they have to do the case. He has to take the case on. He says that he can do it, but he's never been on trial for never been in a trial proceeding for a murder case ever, or been anywhere near a murder case. Regardless of how absolutely freaking hilarious this film is, something else that I think really people need to talk about this movie is, and I think sets it over top for the bar for how good this movie really is lawyers, multiple judges, and other members of like regular court proceedings always praise this movie for the accuracy of the way that it shows the court proceedings as being one of the most accurate depictions of the way that criminal court proceedings are in television and movie history. And I think that is by far one of the greatest achievements that you can get for a film like this. So again, the film is really funny, but most of that is just because Joe Pesci plays a very New York man who is in the Deep South, because that's where most of this film takes place. And the kind of juxtaposition between those two makes it really funny. And I don't feel like it's necessarily saying anybody in the Deep South is wrong, and I don't think anything is saying anybody in the in the New York side is wrong. They're not playing sides to this kind of situation. They're just playing what that situation would look like. And I think that really also sets the bar above, because they're not saying one side is better than the other, which any film with any bias would not be as funny. I think just putting the characters in a situation makes it a lot funnier in my book. And I think it's really funny because especially the way that he almost plays the same kind of character as he does in something like Goodfellas. There's such a heart to this movie, like a real core to this movie, that I feel like a lot of comedy movies, the ones that do come out, fear having, out of fear of being cringy or unrealistic or whatever it is. But I think this kind of heartwarming but also very real type of film almost really doesn't exist anymore, which I think makes me sad, because I think there would be some awesome films that we would have that would be like this if budgets and things like that weren't such an issue. But I think films like this would bring back the mid-budget to low-budget comedy film that is completely missing from a theatrical experience nowadays. Everything just goes to streaming, and you can't see it in the theater, and that's really hard for a genre to stay alive that way. So go see My Cousin Vinny on, not My Cousin, Your Cousin, My Cousin, Our Cousin, Vinny on Tubi. I think it's Pluto or wherever else you want to go see it. I'm sure it's there. You can probably find it anywhere. It's probably in your favorite thrift stores right now as we speak. So go follow Media by Co on Instagram or Media by Company on TikTok. Thank you all. I really do deeply, deeply appreciate it. Go see this movie. Go see all movies in the theaters. We need to keep movie theaters alive because it's one of my favorite places in the whole world. So thank you all, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.